Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. So, grandparent rights. What do you think about them? Short disclaimer, this post is from before the health crisis was even a thing. This one's from user Deleted. Mother-in-law suing my wife for grandparents' rights. So, today in the mail, we received a letter from the county court of where my mother-in-law lives, and she is suing us for grandparents' rights. A little backstory. Courts based in upstate New York. Over the last almost 8 years, me and my wife have been together. Her parents always have despised me, cause I was a punk city boy and my wife was a good country girl. We moved in after 6 months and have been happy together since. We got married back in 2015 and things got better for a while. We bought our first house and I got a job where I started making a lot of money. Me and my wife now live a very comfortable life. Nice cars, house, etc. Back on Thanksgiving of last year is when crap hit the fan. Her mother said some very hurtful stuff about me and my wife to my brother-in-law's girlfriend. My wife and her are very close, so she tells her everything. And once the beans were spilled, my wife confronted her mother about it. Her mom made every excuse under the sun instead of just saying sorry she was wrong. We know she said it because there was text proof. We haven't talked to her only once or twice since Thanksgiving. Today, we received a letter in the mail from her county court suing for grandparents' rights. From everything I have read, they can only sue if we are unfit to be parents. My wife and I don't have any alcohol or drug problems or trouble with the law. We have been and are happily married, and our kids are well taken care of, no debt, etc. We also never once stated ever she could not see the children, not verbally or over text. We just sold our house yesterday. Expected close is early May, and then we are moving to South Carolina. This has been a plan for years, and we finally acted on it back in December. Does she have any ground to stand on? Does New York have any laws to that effect where they could force us to give them the kids for visitation? Can this stop our move from happening and screw up the sale of my house? Any advice is much appreciated. So at this point, and with the information that OP has given us, do you think the mother-in-law has any ground to actually sue for grandparents' rights, or do you think she's just doing it to sort of mess with them in some way? I wouldn't think she has any grounds, but then again, I'm not a law expert. Now, taking a look at the comment section, I'm going to just read the top comment with advice because it is very thorough and it has a response from OP with a little bit more information. So let's continue with that. Kai Alexandria says, as others have mentioned, New York has some of the most aggressive grandparent rights law in the country. Getting a lawyer in this state for grandparents' rights is a must. New York courts do sometimes rule for grandparents' visitation if they believe that it is in the best interest of the child to have a stable relationship with the grandparent. Therefore, you are going to want to do a few things going forward. 1. Your mother-in-law is now officially an enemy. She most likely used this tactic to try and punish or scare you, but be aware that she has brought your personal relationship into a legal context and is trying to take away your rights as your child's parent for herself. Therefore, any and all communication between you and her until this case is resolved, go through your lawyer. Don't block her, just do not respond if she calls, texts, or otherwise communicates. 2. However, do save all communications you have on file with her, past and future, preferably in a physical copy and a cloud backup. Get a phone call recording app, have an answering machine, print out texts and emails, etc. New York is a one-party consent state, so you don't need her permission. 3. I would gather all communications and evidence you may have that your move to South Carolina has been planned for long before your fight. She may try to argue you are moving to remove her from the children's lives. 4. Gather all communication and evidence that either proves you have not kept her from the children or that she has made no effort to see your children. 5. Do absolutely let your family know what she has done. Something like, unfortunately, mother-in-law has chosen to take me and wife to court to force grandparents' visitation without prior communication with us on any issue she was having. We ask for your understanding during this time in not discussing our family with her in order to protect us until the case is resolved. These types of people often try to weasel evidence out of loved ones without that person necessarily knowing. I cannot stress enough that should you win this, and I have strong suspicions that you will, that you then do cut mother-in-law out of your life. Again, she tried to take away your legal rights as your children's parent for herself. This level of manipulation and control will never be healthy for your family, and anyone who would do that to you does not love you the way a real family member should. Best of luck. OP responds, I'm a little confused how grandparents' rights work. Why is it that the grandparent can use claims that you are cutting them out of the child's life as an argument for gaining visitation, but then you actually suggest really cutting them out of their lives? Is having an estranged parent not legal until the parent loses the case? I thought that a grandparent can only sue for grandparents' rights if the parents were unfit in some way. This makes it sound like they can just force themselves into the child's life regardless of anything else. Kai Alexandria responds, the requirement for grandparents' rights is that the grandparent has an established relationship with the child and that contact is in the interest of the child. If mother-in-law loses the case, that is an official court ruling that neither of those things are true. Therefore, you are usually safe and smart to cut someone who tried to use the court system to harass your family out of your life. Theoretically, she could sue again. However, I haven't personally, in my reading, again, I am not a lawyer, heard of a court hearing any appeal on grandparents' rights and overturning a decision. Exactly because the originally ruling determines that the grandmother didn't meet the requirements that would be needed for an appeal. Relationship with the kid, good for the kid. The only danger they'd be in is if they let mother-in-law back into their lives after this ends, and she acts sweet while making sure to establish the baseline needed for grandparents' rights, and then tries again once she thinks she fulfills the requirements. Or if they divorce, still unlikely in this case if both parents are against it, or one parent dies. Much more likely to get them in this situation, but still less so with a denied previous case and no contact going forward. That's why you cut them out. Never give them a second chance. Alright, so that sounds like very solid advice for OP. Now let's move on to the update to see how this matter was resolved. So we have court April 10th, which is actually best case scenario as our house is now sold and we close early May. We passed this by our realtor, whom we had supporting documentation of us moving back when we talked to her in May of 2018. Stating we were going to move south. She is so awesome. She wrote a letter stating we were moving prior to all this happening and got it notarized by the state. This should be a slam dunk, and the judge will likely ask, why are you wasting my time? Her reason for the requested visitation is she loves her grandkids very much and deserves to be a part of their life. Per the law, she has no leg to stand on, and this is not a valid reason she would be able to get visitation. Even if she does, we are moving and I don't believe New York State can stop that. One last thing about this is the petition she filled out. My son's birthday isn't even correct. It's off by 4 days. We'll update once court is completed. Edit. I appreciate everyone's concern regarding a lawyer, but I feel confident we have this handled. I initially made these posts for people actual real-life experiences, not a bunch of other people telling me I'm ignorant or an idiot for not having a lawyer. I received multiple DMs of people telling me their story, and they encourage my decision, as mine is nowhere near severe anyone else's I've heard or read. Second update. Court was a massive waste of time. It was basically a mitigation room where we spoke to a judge and they asked us very vague questions regarding the visitation. They didn't grant anything to my mother-in-law, but want us to go back on the 29th. If I paid for a lawyer for that, I would have been very upset, as it was a massive waste of time. I will update again after the 29th. Final update. So, as I have received loads of messages about an update, we just finally got our verdict this week and the case was dismissed. We filed a motion for dismissal and she had 2 weeks to reply, and I presume no reply was made, so the judge dismissed our case. We now live 900 miles away and move into our house Friday. Life is good. Thanks for all the concern and nice messages from everyone. I hope no one else has to go through that ever. I lost $1,500 to a lawyer, but best of all, my mother-in-law has nothing on me and my wife, and she lives 900 miles away. Apologize for not replying. I don't have regular PC access presently, so I have been on mobile. Reddit can be so supportive sometimes, and it's awesome. Thank you everyone for the well wishes. Alright, well that was the best outcome we could have hoped for OP. He could move, nothing happened in court, and his mother-in-law got nothing out of it because probably now OP cut all contact with her. So OP, now that you're in North Carolina, hopefully you're enjoying life there with your family and your mother-in-law isn't giving you any grief. And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and click like. Of course, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, here are more videos from my channel that you might enjoy. And having said all that, I will see you guys on the next video.